Hi, everybody. Louise Edington, the Cosmic Owl, and Cyberpunk Priestess to the Stars, with you with the week ahead forecast for the week beginning February the 15th through to February the 21st. And I've actually got a really short page of, well, two. I actually might take that blur off because it's hard to share things. Not many aspects to go through, but that does not mean it's not a big week. And we are really kind of in the thick of it right now. We are in the thick of all the things that are coming to an end and new beginnings, and there's more to come. But I've been talking about this period over these last few weeks and these next few weeks as this real kind of end of a big thing and beginning of a new thing, like as we step into this big rise in human consciousness, which, to all appearances is not really happening, but I can assure you it is. Many are awakening already, and things are really beginning to shift. So first of all, I'm actually pulling the cards live because I was going to stop and pull, but then I noticed I opened Zoom up to record and it was 11:11, and I thought they cannot make this stuff up in the big scheme of things. So bear with me 1 second. I just want to unblur my video. None. There we go. Now you can see my lovely Hecate and my lovely calendar. And I've actually got another lovely piece of art that I've got to go and get a frame for. You can also just about see my lovely lunar calendar behind. I'm going to rearrange them all, or keep rearranging them a bit. I like having these things I love behind me. Okay, so I'm going to pull the cards, as usual, at the end, as after I've been day by day, we'll go through them. So the first card I pulled is the Five of Discs. Then Eight of Blades. Not an easy time, by the way. Oh, should brush my hair. It's still drying. Whatever, I don't care. And then, we get Circe, the Witch of Threads. Yum, yum. I love Circe. I'm actually going to put Asteroid Circe back in for that, for when I share the chart. Okay. I will read the meaning of all those cards at the end, but no, Circe is a sorceress, which the word maga means in Spanish, by the way. I actually made some funny shirt designs playing on the word maga. If you want to have a look in my t-shirt store, I've also got ones for, mugs with my logo on and things like that. I don't really mention them very often, but some people discover them every now and again and check them out. So there's a merch store, and you can buy merch if you like, and I might make some newer fun designs over time too. Okay, and I like this one too. I also pulled Okiroe, the Oracle. Well, it's not Okiroe, but it reminds me of Okiroe, who is the daughter of Chiron and Chariclos. So I will put her in as well again. I love how these things speak to us, and I'll read about the full reading of those cards at the end after I've been through the astrology. So let me get up. Well, actually, before I get the chart up, I did an eclipse video, and I do want to say as well, that it is the solar eclipse on February the 17th is the year of the fire horse. Now, I'm not a Chinese astrologer, so I'm going to read what it means. The year of the fire horse is about bold actions, rapid innovation, and dramatic changes in society. In some cultures, there is a superstition that women born in this year are headstrong, leading to lower birth rates in those years. Well, you know what? Anyway, people born in a fire horse year are considered natural leaders who are passionate and independent. And it's a 60-year cycle. Okay, representing a combination of the horse zodiac and the fire element. All right. So let me read one other thing. This is from just an article I found that the fire horse brings an intense wildfire energy. And of course, we're moving into a peak Aries season like we've not seen in many decades and centuries probably as well. And Aries is kind of wildfire as well. So, but it's unstoppable momentum. It's purifying, disruptive, explosive, and deeply transformative. This is a time of dramatic change and potential breakthroughs. This is the year to ignite your passions and to get clarity on what lights you up. Let your true and deepest self shine. Dream big, think big, move big. It's the year to be visible. This is thepowerpath.com. The powerful fire horse brings us courage, confidence, strength, and ignited creativity to take risks in new ventures. There's a huge amount of energy and more joy accessible this year. If there was ever a year to be bold, this is it. We'll also see a spiritual acceleration of higher frequency, offering more opportunities for awakening. And the astrology says the same thing, basically. Don't expect a comfortable or peaceful year, but a pivotal one. But between now, February the 11th and the 17th, continue doing the work of shedding the old skin of what no longer serves you, going forward into the new in order to receive these powerful energies and gifts. This completion work is crucial. Clear old patterns and belief systems, old energies, relationships that no longer serve, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they're all saying the same thing, and I love that. One other thing I will mention before I go through the astrology is I just had a little thought about the Chandra symbol for the eclipse that is on February the 17th. So the eclipse is at 28 Aquarius, and on the symbols we go up to 29. And the Chandra symbol for Aquarius, 29. I think I read it, but I just kind of had some more thoughts about it. Is, okay, the sound of water echoes through a great stone room. Now, Aquarius' traditional guiding planet is Saturn. And 3 days after the eclipse, we have Saturn and Neptune at 0 Aries. Fire, like all that passion, the fire horse, all of that kind of thing. And this sound of water echoing through a great stone room, even though it's the symbol for the eclipse, I'm thinking of Saturn and Neptune coming together. So Saturn is stone, and you could say your body is the great stone room in a way. And Neptune is water echoing through this great stone room. So present here is an amplified sensitivity to the flow of emotion and the ability to perceive all the subtleties and complexities of feeling moving through both self and others. The stone room provides a sanctum which shuts out the outer world so that one's listening to the voices of the water may become focused and acute. I'm saying this eclipse is asking you to tune into and listen to the water. I would also love to read you what Elias Lonsdale said about this same symbol. the most unusual and distinctive of inward conditions. You are held within a mode of awareness that is from another time and place altogether. You have nothing to say and nothing to do. There is no power of individual life force. Instead, you see as the ancient ones see. Now, I have in the past said that Aquarius is this weird energy of the ancient and bringing it into the new in a very new way, the modern. So here we are, you're seeing as the ancient ones see, utter unworldliness to a point of dissociation from surface experience, a part of the mind transported by a reverie of timeless, effortless realization. Everything is clear. The subtlest, most refined things are obvious. It is all a matter of perspective. And here the perspective is that the only thing that matters is how the inward resonant echo registers and where it leads you in choiceless awareness in communion with the gods in you. Well, because the eclipse and the Saturn-Neptune conjunction are so close together, the eclipse on the 17th and that conjunction on the 20th, and both are kind of like new moons in a way, because it's Saturn and Neptune is a new cycle, and it's a solar new moon eclipse. We're in this kind of dark phase, the no moon or no Saturn Neptune in many ways phase of kind of going within and listening to that water within, in a nutshell. All right, so let me get the astrology up. And again, these, as a day-by-day thing, this forecast may be quicker than usual. That does not mean it's not a big week. As I said, it's a massive week. And by the way, here's Circe in a water sign, Cancer. And here's Okiroe coming up to meet her dad, Chiron, with Ceres here. So there's the oracle. Okay, she is an oracle. So okay, and she got punished for being an oracle, but just like the women got punished for being witches, so and Circe got punished as well for being a witch. So reclaiming the witch woman in total control of herself. So here we are. We start the week. At the start of the week on February the 15th, Eastern time, always set at Eastern time because I have to pick a time. The nodes have moved to 8 degrees where they are going to sit right through the eclipses. So this is a potent point for right through the eclipses. New and full moon eclipses are like new and full moons on steroids because they are close to the moon's own nodes. Okay, so we start the week as well with the moon at the very end degree of Capricorn. Okay, we start the week with Saturn having moved into Aries and is coming up to Neptune. Venus is just still 9 degrees, almost 10 degrees away from the sun, but still officially combust the sun. So a bit offline. She's been traveling behind the sun in her own outer world. Mercury is back online and has been, but is also approaching its retrograde. But, things are really starting to come back online after a very turgid time of things happening behind the scenes in many ways. Mars is still offline, still within 10 degrees, but, there's many things. But the moon is about to finish in Capricorn and enter Aquarius. We're about to really enter the eclipse portal as we start the week on February the 15th. Called it a portal. I don't even love that word for it, but it fits for this one. Okay, so the aspects on February the 15th. I am just going to move the moon into Aquarius because it just shows how much Aquarius we've got. But Venus has moved into Pisces, Pallas Athena's in Pisces. All of these planets are piled up at the last 2 signs of the zodiac now as well. I've also missing my beloved Hecate, that book by Nikita Gill. Oh, so good. I hope you've read it. I've listened to it 3 times and bought the hard copy because the writing is just so beautiful. Hecate is heading towards the end of the zodiac, but Hecate starts the week square to Chiron. Hecate is the goddess of the crossroads, lighting her lamp, showing you the path forward, also showing you that there are choices, which is the path. But, sometimes both paths may lead to the right way, or you may want to kind of diverge and try 2 paths. But, generally, Hecate is pictured with one head looking back of Cerberus, the 3-headed dog, which was the guardian of the underworld, and 2 heads forward. And that is kind of like the 3-headed dog going, we don't have to live in that underworld where the divine feminine has been squashed for so long. The goddess is rising and moving forward. So anyway, the moon moves into Aquarius. And on Sunday the 15th, the moon will immediately sextile Saturn and Neptune. So we're really kind of feeling that pull towards this new beginning. But we kind of probably have a little bit more releasing to do under the dark of this cosmic catalyst eclipse. Okay, so this sextile, though, is an aspect of opportunity, and we're in the releasing phase. Okay. So release more old limiting beliefs and more kind of spiritual beliefs, I'm going to say as well, that you cannot step fully into who you are. That reminds me, my ebook is going down brilliantly. If you're not, and if you want to put your name and email on my website, louiseedington.com, you will get my free ebook to download. I'm getting great feedback. You will enjoy it. So then on the 15th as well, Mars and Vesta meet exactly. They're still traveling together right through the eclipse, but Mars is much about drive and will and pushing and forward movement, and Vesta is from the inner flame. This is like saying, drive from within. What do you want to create for the future on this cosmic catalyst eclipse? Okay, what do you want to finish, leave behind, but what do you want to create? Go in and ask. And then the Aquarius moon will conjunct Pluto, which of course is going to be in Aquarius for quite some time. And the moon looks deep into some more stuff that needs to be thrown out with the trash, so to speak, from within and without. And then the last big aspect on the day, and I'm going to get this one exact, is Venus will conjunct Pallas Athena. So you can see that's at 11:54 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so Venus and Pallas Athena meet just a hair's breadth away from being 10 degrees away from the sun, right? I'm going to say Venus is going to be visible as evening star in some places by then, because it depends where on Earth you are, whether you can see her in the evening sky to the west. Okay, and so Pallas Athena and Venus. I always think of Pallas Athena as kind of Venus squared. She's got a little bit sharper edge. She can really kind of she's kind of that emotional intelligence, whereas Venus is really more that felt intelligence. So they're slightly different. Emotional intelligence really is kind of tuning in and understanding what it means. Venus is more responsive, reactive, especially as evening star. But it's at 7 degrees, 13 minutes. 7 I consider to be the most spiritual of numbers. Okay, so 7 is, to put it, is the seeker, the analyst, and the mystic. representing wisdom, deep introspection, and spiritual awareness. And the two are approaching the South Node, or the South Node is approaching them as well. They're all coming together. And it's also 713. 13 is the number of the witch. This is like just before both of them kind of emerge from under the beams of the sun. Well, actually, no, Pallas Athena will go. She's slower moving than the sun. Just before Venus emerges from under the beams of the sun. This is one last reminder to really kind of trust the mystical, trust that inner wisdom, seek that inner wisdom and deep introspection and spiritual awareness. Okay. So it's a profound desire to uncover hidden truths rather than accepting surface level explanations. Okay. So there's more I could say on that, but I'll be here all day if I look at the numbers too. So we go on to February the 16th and things really pick up, but also we are really in the dark of the moon. Okay. So it's the day before the eclipse. The first aspect at 12:01 a.m., the sun has 1 degree away from the eclipse degree. Venus is still not quite 10 degrees away, but it exactly squares Uranus, which, if you remember, on February the 3rd, stationed direct for the last time in Venus sign Taurus. Taurus is about values, rootedness, all the material world, all that you can sense, feel, touch, and about your senses, about that somatic kind of quality to things. We're having these somatic awakenings, you could call them, of the body awakenings. They may feel like electric jolts, and we're literally having major solar activity as well, which is adding to that feeling of nervous system electrical jolts inside you. And a friend shared a really good video with me. I think I might link to it on this, about polyvagal theory, which is balancing your central nervous system. And so it's worth a watch, because this eclipse could be very nervous system jangling, but it's all to wake us up as well, though, so that's okay. So long as you don't let yourself go into an anxiety attack and things. Anyway, back to the we're going to be here forever, aren't we? So anyway, so Sun square Uranus. The Sun will still be square Uranus, really, on the eclipse. And Uranus is the modern guide for Aquarius. And this, again, is a closing cycle. After this, the Sun is moving towards Uranus, okay? So, in fact, I'm just going to show you something real quick. The Sun and Uranus will meet on May the 22nd for a new cycle. And by that point, Uranus is in Gemini, Neptune is 3 degrees Aries, and look at what's left in Aquarius and Pisces. Not much at all. New beginnings, new starts. Incidentally, Ceres will be in Taurus. She will be at 2 Taurus on the Ceres workshop I'm offering, which is an intensive. We'll be looking at your charts. We'll be doing some shamanic work with Ceres, some somatic work, basically, on the intensive, where you will get to understand Ceres at a much deeper level, both your own and others' attendees, through working with Ceres, astrologically and shamanically. Anyway, moving on. So that square starts Monday with a big jolt. We're feeling it already, but it could also be more shocks, surprises, all kinds of things like that. Interestingly, this is at 27 degrees, which is a 9, which is endings. Things are ending. I'm seeing more and more kind of these, I watch mainly kind of YouTube news now, mostly now, of headlines at least, because I don't get time to watch them all, saying, people are waking up and that, the regime, which is global really, is falling slowly, crumbling. It is. So anyway, the Aquarius moon on the 16th. The Aquarius moon will reach Vesta and Mars, that inner drive and will coming from that inner flame. Okay, so the moon joins the party in the dark of the moon. So this is felt inner flame. This is like you really feel into your body what's coming up for you. Okay. And the sun will also sextile Ceres, which is also very related to somatic work. Feel what you need inside and feel what, when you've taken care of your own needs, done your self-care first, then you can help and ask other people what they need and how you can help them. But really, we're really at this critical point now of dealing with your shit first, basically. your trauma and everything. There's two more moon aspects on the 16th. The moon will come up and sextile, well, three, will sextile Okiroe, Chiron, and Eris. This adds to that going within, shining the light in the wound, but also where you're going to shake tables. Okay, but you're not ready to fully shake the tables yet in many ways, although because your inner tables are being shaken first, if you like. So also then Mercury in Pisces, but again, getting ready to go retrograde. It was in the pre-shadow from about 8 degrees. But anyway, Mercury will make a water trine, grand flowing trine to Jupiter, which is now at its station direct degree. And that's bringing up again some more deep knowing and intuition from inside. Everything is pointing to that. You really must make space, time, energy for listening to your inner voice and listening to the trees and listening to the bushes and listening to the wind and listening to what the nature spirits, if you want to call them, are telling you. Okay. So on to February the 17th. And again, we start the day, but this time at 4:39 a.m. But the moon at almost on the eclipse will square Uranus. So, I've done the whole eclipse video, so I'm not going to repeat all the things. And then we have the actual eclipse or the new moon at 7:01 a.m. But then we have Venus conjunct the North Node. Now, Venus enjoys being in the sign of Pisces. She's said to be exalted. She can be a little bit like, oh, just love goddess, floaty, but she's very creative, very joyful, very dancey, very a bit like I can't think of the word. It doesn't matter. A kind of a dancing spirit. I can't remember the word for a dancing spirit. So Venus will conjunct the North Node. Funny that they're not exact. That's kind of weird. I think that's it now. Yeah, Venus will conjunct the North Node at 8:44 a.m. And this is really kind of major because Venus has emerged as love goddess, evening star Venus, which is the more peaceful Venus of the Venus cycle. Morning star Venus is often associated with war. This is another symbol to me that we are coming to the end of this big kind of mind war, consciousness war, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, and the North Node is where we're all being pulled towards what we're yearning and hungering for. That doesn't always mean that it's a good thing because some people are, pushing for their version of it more than others. But for you personally, this is that more sense of interconnectedness with all that is. Okay. Source, spirit, everything. So, and then right after that, the moon will enter Pisces. All this in the morning, 9:09 a.m. on Monday of the February 17th. Tuesday. um, then the moon enters the sign of Pisces, but we're still under the no moon phase. We're still in the dark, but things are going to get even more kind of intuitive, floaty, all of those things. Now the energy of Pisces is just off the flipping charts. Okay, and Pisces is the cosmic soup, is the amniotic fluid, but is also kind of that chrysalis energy where of dissolving as well, like the butterfly or the caterpillar dissolves in the chrysalis and then kind of all its cells are regenerated. We'll be doing some of that on the workshop too. But anyway, the moon will then meet Pallas Athena at the end of the day. So I'm going to get that. These are worth kind of tuning into just so you can see the flow. So 11:25 p.m. at the end of the eclipse day, Tuesday, the moon meets the wise owl, the creative intelligence. She's also always called about the strategist and goddess of wise justice and things. And she was that, but she was also goddess of the arts and things. So we're bringing that kind of both right brain, left brain back in with all these aspects. And so these two meet at 7 degrees as well, right next to the North Node. Oof, what a time we're in. Okay, on to February the 18th. I'm not going to go through all these aspects individually, but I will get this one right just so we move it into the 18th. So early on the 18th, 1:18 p.m. to be precise, we can see that the moon has moved to conjunct that North Node, pulling us towards what we're moving to, and then we'll conjunct Venus. We saw it on the Super Bowl halftime thing about the message of love at the end of it all. People stop arguing about it. Anyway, then the moon will then sextile Pholus, take the lid off it. We've still got that one head looking a little bit back, kind of looking at taking an inventory of our life, not of our own, just our own life, but actions, events, everything, how we got to where we are, not in that blame sense, just in a sense of understanding of how the toxic culture as well, the toxic upbringings many of us had, the toxic patterns that have been carried on for generations have been feeding where we got to now, and now it's time to let go. Okay, Mercury on the 18th. Mercury in Pisces, not yet at its station retrograde degree, but and still moving fast, has not slowed down yet. Mercury will sextile Juno. So you're not really feeling the Mercury retrograde yet, in other words. Juno is our sacred contracts with each other. It's another aspect of opportunity, of tuning in to how can we create structures that honor all the contracts we have with each other and with the earth, I'm going to insist on saying. Okay, and then we have another big shift because it's bye-bye Aquarius season, and the sun on February the 18th moves into Pisces, leaving Mars, Vesta, and Pluto in Aquarius, and some asteroids in a centaur in Capricorn. And the Pisces energy gets even stronger. Amniotic fluid, all of those things. Chrysalis, whatever you want to call it. And the moon in Pisces then aspects Jupiter, bringing some more deeper inner spiritual awarenesses, understandings, I'm going to say. And the moon will then meet Mercury and Nessus. And that's kind of really saying, we can't unsee what we're unseeing. We can't unsee what's dying to be birthed anew. I'm reminded of that poem about what if, we're in the womb in America or something like that. We literally really are now, not just in America, I hasten to add. And then after the sun moves into Pisces, the moon, I mentioned the aspect to Jupiter, I think, will conjunct Mercury and Nessus. So on to the 19th. 19th. Okay, Thursday the 19th. Oh, look at all of this. Moon's still in Pisces at the start of the day. The moon makes that aspect of opportunity, a sextile to Uranus, and then the moon will move into Aries. But before the moon moves into Aries, Mars over here in Aquarius, looking towards the future, also moving towards Pisces, but will make a sextile or aspect again of opportunity to Ceres. This is a real opportunity to make sure your own needs are met, and then you can work towards meeting others' needs. But look where Ceres is coming up to. This is Okiroe, the seer. Again, she is kind of like a prophetess or oracle. So I think that card's really going to speak to us. Okay, so then the moon enters Aries at 2:39 p.m. Eastern on February the 19th, which is Thursday, kind of easing all this Pisces energy a little bit. But the thing that happens when the moon moves into Aries is that the moon will almost immediately move 30 degrees away from the sun and really start to gain light. So about just over 2 days after the eclipse, the moon starts to gain light and things really start to, again, heat up, action phase, all of those things. Right after the moon enters Aries, the moon meets Saturn and Aries and Neptune, who are about to meet. First time at that 0 degrees for over 6,000 years. And the moon is right there too. And the moon was right there with Venus when we had the Venus retrograde in this area of the chart too, for most of it. And so this is emotions or feelings, responsiveness with boundaries, man-made rules, the structures, and spirit source creativity as well, all joining together. Beautiful. But the moon will then also sextile Pluto, an aspect of opportunity to leave more crap behind in many ways, I'm going to say. So, and we'll meet asteroid Lilith, talk to the hand. We're done. Aren't we done? I'm done. I'm done with the order, the world order of control, domination, power over, patriarchy, whatever you want to call it. I'm done with it right now. And I think I'm not the only one. We are just like, talk to the hand. I'm done. You're finished. We're not going to do this anymore. Right. But again, it's a process. We're all going to kind of keep seeing this more and more. So on to Friday, Venus Day. Woohoo. Moon is gaining light, remember? Okay, so at the start of the day, Sun has moved to 1 Pisces. The moon is in Aries still. And Venus is just trotting along now, like well visible as the evening star. So look to the west if you have a good view of the horizon. Now she aspects Pholus. So there's one more perhaps finishing look, or another finishing look at the inventory of what you've now seen. Kind of this, the lids come off all that's wrong with this end times, end of empire, or whatever you want to call it again. And then we have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. I did that whole interview with Marina Ormes. I really should tag that video on this one, or I'll put it in the description. But she did a whole series of videos too. So Astrology for Healing is her channel. I believe. Anyway, Saturn conjunct Neptune, 11:54 a.m. Friday the 20th. Now, we've been feeling this for ages, but this is the peak moment, and it's occurring at the point where it's still really an aspect to the sun, semi-sextile, yes, but it's there. And it's also aspecting Saturn-Neptune by sextile again, aspect of opportunity, Sedna, which has just stationed direct in the week I'm recording this. And we are feeling the turning of the ages, really churning round to turn around in this big awakening time. Now, I'm not going to go through every lunar aspect today, but but I will quickly mention the moon will square Pholus and Jupiter. That's another big turning point of awakening about our society and how things are shifting and changing and being reborn. But then on the 20th as well, at 1:09 p.m., Mercury reaches 20 degrees and is conjunct Nessus. Mercury's still moving fast. No, Mercury's really slowing down now. Look, at the end of the week. And because Mercury's slowing down and will revisit and rewrite and redo all those things that a Mercury retrograde does, this is taking a really good hard look. And Mercury's slower, so it's more impactful about what we're done with. Okay. What we're done with, what we're taking no more of. Not many left. Finishing on Friday, the Aries moon will square off to June now. I'm not going to go into that one. We'll just move it. And then I'll kind of sum up, looking how things have changed. So by next Saturday, February the 21st, okay, the moon will still be in Aries, but will now be well on its way to the first quarter moon, which is halfway between the two eclipses. The Aries moon is going to meet all these Aries energies here. So meeting our own needs, kind of stepping into your own inner seer or oracle energy, if you like, shining a light on that wound more to cauterize it and shake some tables. It's really time to start take action in Aries. Okay. But the other aspects are Pallas Athena met the North Node at the same degree. See, the nodes are still at that 8 degree. They will be. But this is 8. And this is kind of a more stable number, the number of infinity, the number of, known as the number of wealth. If you remember, Venus and the North Node met, but Venus and Pallas Athena met at 7. And now here we are at 8. And 8 is abundance and power and karmic balance. It's the great equalizer, if you turn it on its side, between the material and spiritual worlds. I've been talking about that for a long time. So again, we are learning to balance both the right brain, left brain, the material, the spiritual, the empirical, the quantum, all of those things that we thought were so separate. They are connected and we need both. Okay. So that's Pallas Athena conjunct the North Node, pulling us to where we're going. Then after that, the Aries moon, before meeting Chiron and Eris, will sextile Mars, as Mars is now 10 degrees, now out of the beams of the sun, or it will be on that moment, I believe. Moon sextile. (6:11 a.m.) Mars and the sun, yep, more than 10 degrees apart. So Mars, Venus, and Mercury are now no longer under the beams of the sun. They've been under the beams of the sun for ages. So they've been a bit offline. And that's why everything's felt even more kind of chaotic, but also rebirthy and confusing and things like that. All of those personal planets are back online. And Mars, the moon will sextile Mars. So the moon is in Mars sign, making that fire and air sextile at 22 degrees, the master builder number. Boy, is energy going to kick up of change that we are going to be co-creating in so many ways. And then finally, at the end of the week, at 6:30 p.m., the moon enters Taurus. I always loved the Taurus moon, especially at the moment with all this Pisces and Aries energy that's so like chaotic, but also rebirthy and building up the energy of what we're going to create. But suddenly we get into Taurus and the moon goes, deep dive into your body. Take a rest. It's Saturday evening. Do something that fills your senses. And that's the end of the week astrologically. That's all the aspects. So let's go back to the cards. What a time we live in. Now remember, when I look at these cards, that we are in the dark moon for most of the week and at the end of the Saturn-Neptune cycle. And so, you know, we're in the dark in so many ways. So don't get depressed with the cards. Because this is, I am suffering. Okay. So it feels like everything's in crisis, right? There's probably, well, I'm seeing a lot of fear, worry, loss. It feels like it's raining down on us. There's collapsing structures in our own lives and others, and collectively. We're at a crisis, which is crossroads. Okay, so, but the darkness that has fallen means that you have to somehow deal with the situation and possible outcome, and this is not easy. The stress and insecurity that is involved may feel traumatic. So I am going to share that video on trauma. Once again, look after yourself, but allow others to care for you. Eat, sleep, and try to do something normal that will remind you that life really does go on. Care for each other, care for yourself, okay? This situation, this time is difficult to navigate. It feels like everything is broken, leaving us feeling overwhelmed and alone. Like the rats in this card, you harbor a deep resilience. Find this part of you as we face this adversity. This time will pass. Something may have devastated our lives, but trust that in time we'll recover from this sense of loss. May love hold you. But this literally is collapse, okay? It is the end of empire. We're seeing it collapse. And I believe that once it starts to collapse, it's going to happen fast in many, many ways and places. This is not just to do with Donald Trump. So we got the Eight of Blades next, which is another painful card. So this is not a good and not an easy week. This is I am fear. If you're feeling restricted, abandoned, and stuck, maybe you feel trapped and unable to move in any direction. Insecurity and fear are filling us with anxiety, overthinking, and worry, blah, blah, blah. The monsters are looming great. They just seem to keep on coming. What is holding you down? Anyway, connecting with your shadow takes great courage, but here lies the light and unrestrained freedom. And I'm talking about your shadow and the collective shadow. There is so much more to us and you than you will ever begin to imagine. It may not feel like it, but now is the time to truly love and accept yourself for all that you are. Okay. And now, ooh, I'm going to get the Circe up. Have you read Madeline Miller's Circe? Love it. So, Witch of Threads, Circe. Begin to weave, and the divine will provide the thread. At the ends of the universe is a blood-red cord that ties life to death, and this is your thread of magic. We end with more Aries energy, if you remember, at the end of the week, which is fire, which is threads. So this is about, I'm just going to kind of read a little bit of it. This is about never holding grudges and having a huge, loving, burning heart that sweeps away negativity. Okay. It's brimming with passionate energy that we must not be shy of using. Okay. So tap into your thread of magic. Wear your red thread, whatever. I also wear my friendship bracelets. I'm going to read this from the Odyssey. Presently, they reached the gates of the goddess house, and as they stood there, they could hear Circe within, singing most beautifully as she worked on her loom, making a web so fine, so soft, and of such dazzling colours that no one but a goddess could weave. But we're collectively weaving this new story, right? Okay, and then I'm going to read the Witch Oracle, which happens to be card number 13. The Witch's number. Remember we had those full moons at 13. Oh gosh, this book's not easy to thumb the pages, but the writings are so worth reading. Okay, this is the Oracle. As I pull Oracle cards, okay. Now you can see she has a circus tent behind her, so she's a bit of a, fairground oracle in this, so to speak, in a way. But anyway, Angie Sullen's amazing words for this. You already know the oracle is in you. The time might call for these cards, or tea leaves, or runes, but all of those are a means to an end, and the end is alive and well in you. She is known as she who knows, or more commonly, intuition. If you can't get a clear reading from your tools, or if you feel uncomfortable with what these tools are telling you, consult her. A witch trusts her intuition above all other sources and understands that her ability to tap into her inner knowing is the ultimate trump card. Let yourself sit quietly. A wise poet once said, "The master doesn't seek fulfillment, not seeking, not expecting. She is present and can welcome all things. She is fulfillment." This quiet surrender is often the exact condition that allows us to hear her voice. Tap your inner witch mastery. Saturn, by the way, is mastery, so this is Saturn-Neptune conjunction as well. Go within and trust your knowing of what you hear there. What a week. Don't forget to check out the video that is about the polyvagal system and calming your nervous system and about trauma, because we're really at the end of empire and it is rather traumatic in so many ways for so many people, but we're going to get through this. I love you, and don't forget to check out my series workshop. There's an early bird price till February 22nd, I think, and payment plans. Bye.